End of your turn. My wife left a month ago for an extended but planned family visit in another state, but now she won't come back home, which she just told me a week before she was originally planning to return. We moved from living near her family and friends where she is now to be closer to mine 7 months ago. She originally wanted to move here, and it made sense for us financially because the cost of living is much cheaper here. But she has never felt accepted by my family and has been depressed since moving here. This goes back to before we were even married 3 years ago, when my mother and brother questioned her and our relationship. Now, at almost every family gathering, my wife will be set off and angered by comments that my family makes, which aren't even intended to hurt her. She stopped going to most family gatherings, and I've been stuck in the middle between my family's constant questions about her and her not wanting to do anything with them. I've just made excuses like she's not feeling well. It's also hard because I'm stressed financially and not the happiest person to be around lately, and she doesn't work so she's around me all the time. She was seeing a counselor for months before she left to deal with her depression, which she won't discuss with me. I've been insecure about my wife leaving for the long family visit, mainly because I know she's been unhappy here and feared that she may not come back. Also, I knew she'd be going out with her single friend who likes to get drunk and hook up with random men almost every time I've been out with her. So, I've questioned my wife about where she's been, and it has led to her getting angry with me when I call her, thinking I have to know her every move. She has become more distant each time I talk to her and said that she wants space to figure out what happened to her and the person she used to be. I also noticed that she deleted her fashion blog and videos that I helped her with that she's been working on for the past year, which she said she didn't have time for anymore. I asked her sister what was going on and told her about my wife's anger towards me, and her sister told me that she's really depressed and unhappy, but not to worry because she's acting like that with everyone there and has good and bad moments. I tried to give her space by not contacting her for a few days. 2 days ago, my wife told me that she was coming here to talk about a lot of things, but she's not planning on staying. She said that she's made decisions during the time and space I've given her, but she wouldn't elaborate. I'm really worried about losing her, and that she may not love me anymore. I told her that I don't want her to give up on us, and I'll do whatever it takes to make things better, including marriage counseling. She makes impulsive decisions, like deleting the blog and her FB a few years ago. I just hope she doesn't make one with our marriage and delete me. I did stand up for her and told them that they were out of line. I didn't have contact with my family for a while after, but this was 3 years ago. It seemed like things were getting better because my wife and I visited them before moving here, and my wife wasn't upset then. She told me she plans to come to see me tomorrow for our talk. Should I go to her instead? She sees a shrink, but maybe she needs a better one. I did offer marriage counseling. I don't think there's anyone else, but that's always a possibility. I think her depression has more to do with it. I've been supporting her, and she's staying with her sister basically for free. I'm 31. She's 27. No kids. My wife isn't a psycho, but she does have anger issues and is easily upset. She also has issues because her mother, who passed when my wife was 12, was mistreated by her mother-in-law. I talked to her on the phone. She said that she already planned to come here, so that's what she wants to do and doesn't want me to buy a ticket for her. She can fly discounted or for free using her Southwest friend though. She sounded better and we shared a couple laughs, and she said that she knows she's not easy to get along with sometimes. But she did say she's been watching her crappy shows, as she says I call them even though she made up that name. And she's been enjoying working out with her sister's partner because she's able to work out with someone else unlike when I don't join her at gym. So, she's definitely showing some negative feelings for me. She did say I love you too when we hung up, but I don't know if she still means it. Her sister and I just exchanged a few texts. She says that my wife won't even talk to her, and that she's so unhappy, crying, and thinks she's fat and ugly. Her sister doesn't know what to do either, and she asked my wife why she won't talk to me or her. My wife said that she's tired of being criticized and hearing that she's making drama. So, it seems like my wife's recent behavior is mostly stemming from the tension between my family and her, and my reactions to it. I have told her in the past that she's overreacted to their comments and was causing drama, and so has her sister. We only meant to calm her down. My wife knows how to hold a grudge and gets easily angered, so it happens a lot. Also, my recent insecurity and criticism, due to the stress of all this and my financial situation, has pushed her away. I told her to find a job when we moved here, especially to get her out of the house and to meet new friends here, which would also help her depression. At first, she looked for jobs, but after a couple weeks of trying she gave up and has had excuses ever since. I work from home and she's around me 24/7, which I feel is too much. She is a princess type and has always been taken care of, but she did have a part-time job before we moved here. She does do all the household work and cooking. I do the bills and house projects. Her depression has made our sex life worse, which I regretfully complained about. She has little or no interest in my interests. We watch TV in separate rooms. She loves to get out of the house and go places, especially where she can dance. The problem is that going out to bars and to eat all the time costs too much. I didn't have a problem with her not contributing financially as long as she had a part-time job to keep her busy. but my income has since decreased and resulted in a lot of stress on me. I told her that she would have to get a job when she got back from her family visit before she left. Right now, she's helping her sister with her business as she has in the past to make some money. Unfortunately, that is my guess too that she's just coming to call it off and take off with her things. I did tell her that I want to go to marriage counseling to work things out, and it would give her a clearer idea of what a marriage should be. If she refuses, I agree, it's over. I haven't heard from my wife yet about when she's going to be here today. I was thinking about what she told me about having plans to come here, and that she said she would call me late tonight or early tomorrow. She may not be flying standby to come here and talk, which I just assumed. She might be driving, which would mean she borrowed a car and is coming to get her things and leave. This would also mean that she's very determined to leave if she's driving 800 miles back and forth. My wife and I talked. I remained calm and listened. She told me everything that's been bothering her with our relationship and cried through most of it. She says it's half my family and half me, and she went through a list of why. She dreams of a happy life with her in-laws but said she will never have that with me. She thinks my mother and brother hate her and always will. She also thought that I never stood up to them enough when defending her. She says that they've caused our relationship to go down and down. As for me, she said I've been overly critical of her repeatedly over the past 3 years about her clothes, body, our sex life, and even her choice of shows she likes. She says I don't take her out to dance enough, and I'm unhappy when I do. She brought up trips that we've taken that she didn't think I was excited for. She's been waiting for me to give her a dream wedding because we eloped when we got married. She feels that I haven't been trying to have the wedding and get her new ring because I've bought other things instead, and she's been waiting 3 years. She thinks I'm too impatient and get angry as a result, which pushes her away more and more. She doesn't think I will change. She thinks I will always be too impatient and critical, and she knows my family will never change. She said that she doesn't want me or my family to change if we tried because she thinks it would be fake and not a natural change. She's given up on me. She says things have gone too far to where she doesn't care anymore. She won't see a marriage counselor. She's done with me. I'm heartbroken. We both still said we love each other. I got a little emotional because I know my impatience and criticism is coming from my financial and family stress, and I told her that I wish she could see that and let me get help. I know I've wronged her so many times. I've been under constant stress since we got married, and I have plenty of low points where I lash out. I haven't been the same person she first met. I don't have enough money for her dream wedding and ring. I know I need help and want to get it. She said it didn't matter and it's too late. I asked her to at least take some time to think about what I said and not make a decision yet. She said her mind was made up before she came to talk. She wants to end it. Once she makes up her mind, that's it. We ended our talk calmly. We hugged a few times. I told her I love her and hope she will at least consider what I said about getting help. I don't think she will change her mind. I think it's over. She's taking her things and leaving tomorrow. I feel like such a fool and a jerk. I do love her. I just wish she would have told me how bad things were getting and how close she was to ending it before it got to this point. She said she gave me red flags when we argued in the past, and she wanted me to naturally fix our problems without explicitly telling me how much she was hurting. She also mentioned how patient she is and how impatient I am, and how we don't have a balance. I know I'm impatient. I hope she would be patient with me about fixing myself and our relationship. But she thinks it's already broken. My wife is packing everything of hers and leaving. She's signing over her car to me. She returned her Christmas present from me that can only be used here. She won't reconsider anything from our talk. The only thing she said she might do is see a marriage counselor once to give me closure but not to fix our marriage, which I asked for. I will focus on improving myself. I already bought some self-help books and plan to start working out again. I haven't slept properly since we moved here over 6 months ago. Actually, I haven't slept well in years, but it's been much worse here. Exercise will definitely help that. It's hard not to blame myself for my wife ending it. My stress in the tough times has led to far too much criticism and anger towards her. I can see how it would have built up inside her until the breaking point. I should have been more introspective, but for some reason I had blinders on. I hate that I've criticized her so much without provocation or reason. I don't know why I was trying to change her because I love the way she is. Her sister, who came here with her, said that my wife's been unhappy, sick, constipated, crying and lashing out at her for the past month. She sleeps 13 hours a day and won't talk to anyone. When she does, she's irritable and defensive. Her sister thinks that my wife still loves me, but she won't communicate normally with anyone. She's still here with all her stuff packed and ready to go tomorrow. She was crying on and off the whole time packing. It may be the last time I ever see her. I hope I don't break down after she leaves. A lot of our disagreements are superficial, but she just couldn't take my unhappiness and constant criticism anymore. I pushed and pushed until she was gone. I kept trying to change her, and I didn't even know why. She's traumatized now. I'm going to seek help for my stress and anger. I'm also going to start working out and trying to get normal sleep again. I need to start working on myself. She agreed that she will keep seeing a therapist. She wants to cut off all support from me, and she signed over her car to me. She was crying on and off all morning. I just drove her to the airport and let her go. I told her that I love her and just want her to be happy. She said I'm a good person and wished me the best, and then left for her flight. I hope she considers what I said about trying to fix my problems and doesn't give up on me. But, for now she's done talking and is moving on. I won't be contacting her because it won't help. This is the worst day of my life. I know I need to stop blaming myself and snap out of it. I will fix my own issues. But, if she was serious about loving and being married to me, she wouldn't give up like this. And she's extremely stubborn, so there's no changing her mind or point in trying to. She's mentally unstable when angered and always has been, so she has her own anger issues. It's not just me. I recall one Valentine's Day when she was screaming at me and hitting herself because we got in a fight over bringing my dog along for a day trip. I planned for us to a fun beachside city that allows dogs everywhere, which she thought was insulting. She went for a 3-hour walk just to calm down. She's complained about other trips or nights out I planned if they weren't perfect for her. She can be one angry princess. I didn't respond to the text, so she called later to tell me the same BS from the text and to tell me to cut off her phone from our plan. Thank God for no kids. She originally wanted kids when we got married, but soon changed her mind after nanny for the worst kid ever that drove her insane for months. Or at least she claimed that was the reason. I agree that I lashed out at my wife because of the financial strain. I realize now that I resented her for not working or trying to for the last 9 months. She's a princess and doesn't want to work. She wants to be taken care of. All she wanted to do was work on her fashion blog that made nothing, and I even helped her with it to make her happy. I met with a psychologist who specializes in anger and depression. He also does individual and marriage counseling. I'm going every week now to work on my issues. He didn't understand why my wife's psychologist didn't involve me in her treatment and progress. Also, my wife wouldn't talk to me about it either. She's going to find a new psychologist where she is now. What kind of effect will ignoring Valentine's Day in 2 weeks and our anniversary the next month likely have on her? She loves holidays and gifts even more than most women, and she's gotten extremely upset and cried in the past if I didn't plan something perfect or I was late in celebrating. How do you think someone like this would react if I didn't even acknowledge those dates? Would it push her away even more and make her feel more justified in leaving, or would it just sadden her and make her see what she's missing? Should I completely ignore those dates? I don't think I will acknowledge those dates. My wife has contacted me every day since she left by phone and text to first say she's sorry she hurt me. Then she got a flu shot on our insurance. Then she sent me signed paperwork for her car, and now she wants to know what to answer to a mutual friend's text. And she starts crying at some point during our conversations. I stay calm and listen to her, and I tell her I'll do whatever will make her happy. Should I just stop responding? I haven't heard from her in 5 days. I saw my therapist again, and he suggested sending her a card or email just to let her know what's going on with me because otherwise she has no idea, especially while she's living 800 miles away. But he said our therapy isn't about reconciling. We're working on a process to improve my way of thinking and make more positive choices while controlling my anger and depressed thoughts. My wife called me this morning to check on me, so I suppose I'll forget about sending the card now. She was happy to hear that I'm going to a therapist and working on myself. She's doing the same with a new therapist. She sounded sad and cried a couple times. I told her that I'm going to continue to improve myself, and she said that she's proud of me. But she thought I was happy because she's gone now. I told her that's not true, and that I'm learning to be happier with myself as I fix my issues. I think she understood. We didn't talk about our relationship. An update on my situation. I have been seeing a therapist every week for the past month, which has really helped me deal with my issues and also see my relationship with my wife from a new perspective. I have also been in contact with my wife at least twice a week since she left. She initiated most of the contact, including texting me Happy Valentine's Day and calling me once a week. But, while she says that she's still in love with me, she doesn't want to work on our marriage or return to this environment. She's planning to stay where she is and find a job, and she asked me for money and a TV in the meantime since she's broke. She says that she can forgive but not forget all the times I've hurt her. She wants her dream of a perfect marriage, house, ring, wedding, and in-laws, and she doesn't think she will ever have that with me after trying for 3 years. My wife is planning to come here this weekend to meet with my therapist, but she says that it's not for marriage counseling. Her reasoning for the visit is to tell my therapist her side of the story and give me closure. She doesn't plan to return for more counseling. Also, she requested that I take her to her favorite restaurants and ice cream parlor while she's here. I really don't know what to think. She keeps in contact, cries a lot of the time, says she loves me but won't work on our marriage, says she's moving on but hasn't mentioned divorce, and she keeps asking me for things. I guess part of me doesn't believe what she says completely. I don't know why she would want to come and stay here for a few days, while revisiting our happiest places with me, unless she was interested in reconciling. She already told me what was wrong with our marriage, and I forward the message to my therapist, so there's nothing new for her to say. She wants to come here, but from what she says it could be any time that works and it's only for closure part 2. My wife is very spoiled and probably doesn't know any better. She is childish in many ways, but I do feel used if she has no intention of reconciling and keeps asking me for things. I did tell my therapist about her wanting money and the TV. He thinks she wants everyone and everything to change for her without making positive changes herself, and nothing has changed for her except her geography. I am considering canceling her flight here. I am working on myself. That's why I've been going to a therapist for over a month, and I will continue to do so whether we get back together or not. She already made it clear that she doesn't want me, yet she's been the one initiating most of our contact. I'm not going to send her more money. I only gave her money because she was crying about not having anything this week. She has job training lined up where she's staying next week anyway. I spoke to my wife about her intentions for visiting and also to my therapist, and I decided not to cancel her trip here. She visited for 3 days. At first, she acted more like a friend and distant. She also wasn't wearing her ring. We went to dinner and discussed a lot of the same problems with our relationship that we already have, and the progress that we've both made. She told me that she hasn't changed her mind about us. I told her that I wouldn't support her financially if she wasn't going to try to work things out, which she thought was fair. After dinner we came home, and she set up her own bed in another bedroom. She wanted to go out to dance, so we went to a club. We had a great time and danced all night together. When we got home, we were all over each other and she ended up in my bed, where she slept each night the rest of her trip. The next 2 days were good, and it mostly felt like we were a couple again. We kissed a lot and said that we love each other. She cooked for me, I cooked for her, and we went grocery shopping together into our favorite restaurants. But she would drop comments about me finding someone with more similar interests, and her not considering marriage again unless she got the perfect ring and wedding. She also talked about getting a job and starting over. At the therapist, she cried and repeated mostly what she had told me about our problems, which I had already told my therapist. He asked why she hadn't included me in her therapy, and she gave the same excuse that she thought I didn't believe in it, but that she should have included me. She does think I will change for the better, and that I already have, but she doesn't think that it matters since we're incompatible, and our personalities don't mix. She can't forget how I criticized her, tried to change her and didn't stand up for her enough. And she wants nothing to do with my family. My therapist thinks she's playing a blame game, and until she thinks differently and stops blaming me or my family for all her unhappiness, it will be difficult to change her mind. She hinted at coming back here in a month to see me without going to therapy. It's still confusing as hell to tell if she has actually made up her mind or not about us with all the mixed signals. She seems very confused too. I know she's selfish and immature, but I still love her. I will continue to take one day at a time and work on myself. I'll give our marriage some more time, but I may have to set a limit soon. I was shocked when my wife told me that she needed to have the talk because I realized how blind I had been to see our relationship declining. However, I knew she was becoming more distant and unhappy with me during her family visit. She had been extremely unhappy since moving here, which is why she was going to a therapist for months. I thought it was because of the tension between her and my family as well as living far away from her friends and family. When I asked her about her therapy, she didn't want to talk about it. We only had one talk just before she left for her family visit, when she finally told me I was in danger of losing her. She didn't elaborate on why I was losing her. I do think she exaggerates our issues, although I am guilty of criticism and controlling behavior, but that's normal for her to do. As for her being involved with someone else, I don't think that's the case. There aren't any strange numbers on the phone bill, and she doesn't know many men since she was only in the country a year before I met her. I think that she's being honest about her feelings. Unfortunately, she waited until she had already made up her mind to leave to finally tell me. I realized that I made emotional choices while she was here. She's manipulating me, whether she's aware of it or not, into getting what she wants. Her happiness depends on getting what she wants and taking as much as she can, and it always has. If she doesn't get her wants met, she will become angry and try to get her wants met that way. Her therapy obviously hasn't helped her with this problem. I think it may be time to move on. Holding on to hope that she will change her mind isn't going to help me, and it will just leave me feeling used while prolonging the pain. We haven't been in contact since she left 9 days ago, and I don't plan to contact her. I can't change her mind, only she can. I can only control myself. Update: I'm feeling much better lately. My therapy has really helped me become a happier person. I've learned how to meet my needs through skill building and rethinking, which I will always be able to fall back on if I start to have angry or depressed thoughts. I don't think about my wife as much. I haven't contacted her in 3 weeks since I emailed her on our anniversary to say that I was thinking of her and working on myself, and hopefully she's doing the same. She replied with, "I'm glad that you remember this year. Just because I'm not, they're right. I'm doing well, trying my maximum to be happy and be myself. Happy anniversary." My wife texted me a picture the following week of herself with her sister and visiting brother, which was 2 weeks ago. No contact since then, which I plan to continue. Even if she did want to reconcile, it would take a lot of work and therapy for me to want her back. I will set a date soon for taking the next step and filing. I wrote a lengthy letter to my wife about where I am now, what I've learned in therapy, how I could make things better between us, and my feelings about how she left and her blaming me for it. I also wrote that if she still won't consider reconciling, I'm going to take the next step to move on. I didn't send a letter and wasn't planning to. I just wanted to get my thoughts on paper. Does it ever help to send a letter like this? Or would it only be advisable if she was already contacting me about reconciling? Update: my therapy rethinking and skill building process that my therapist was teaching me is complete, but I'm still going every couple weeks to make sure it sticks while discussing my other issues. I haven't spoken to my wife in over a month. We only exchanged a couple texts, where she sent me pictures of her and her family. It's been almost 3 weeks with no contact. I didn't send her that letter either. I know the 180 and I have tried to stick to it. I also know that it's for myself and not to win her back. But if my wife complained of being neglected during our marriage, is staying dark with only her initiating contact the best tactic? My therapist suggested going to visit my friends and family near where she is and see if she will meet to discuss our future or lack thereof. Otherwise, with no contact there won't be any change from where we're at now, and she won't see that I've changed for the better. My therapist also doesn't think I should just file without warning, which will most likely cut off any chance of reconciling. I was thinking of calling her to see if she still feels the same way about our marriage, and if so, then telling her that I need to file to move on. Or should I just stay dark while focusing on myself? No contact is rough. I find myself getting more emotional the last few days. I guess it's finally sinking in that she's gone for good. Hopefully the pain will subside soon. I have felt this pain before. I tried no contact for 4 months with my first love 11 years ago, and then she decided that although she still had feelings for me, she felt anger and didn't want any chance of romance with me again. I was crushed then, and I lived with regret for a long time. That's probably why I question going to NC now. I know that I'm stronger than I used to be. I'm really glad that I now have faith in myself to meet my needs and be happy. Well, she has been venting about our relationship and my family for the 4 months since she left, and I say little besides I understand. Anytime I do say something she takes it as criticism of her, which is a major reason why she left. She vented about my family mistreating her throughout the entire 3 years of our marriage after the fact, even when they tried to make amends with her. She holds grudges and cuts people out of her life all the time, so I guess I should have expected this if things weren't going well. I have said things very similar to your last suggestion, but she doesn't care. My wife's sister came here with the separation papers last night. Apparently, my wife has been testing me to see how much I care since she left. She has been flipping-flopping on wanting to try again or move on. When I told her 3 months ago that I wouldn't support her financially as a husband if she wasn't willing to support me as a wife and work on our marriage, she was really hurt and has been holding that against me. She doesn't think I've changed because she thinks I'm still mistreating her by cutting off support and that I don't care about her. It feels like anything I do is the wrong thing with regards to her. I didn't have a chance to look at the documents until now. My wife actually wants a summary dissolution, not a legal separation, and she isn't asking for anything from the divorce. As she said, she just wants this to be easy. It seems there's nothing more I can do to try and reconcile. Her sister told me that my wife was considering reconciling 3 months ago when she visited me, but she decided against it after I told her that I wouldn't help her anymore unless she worked on the marriage. I met with my wife last night for dinner. Seeing her was predictably awkward at first after 3 months apart, especially since she looked so beautiful. Our dinner wasn't painful at all, really. She basically told me that her feelings haven't changed about moving on, and she feels angry every morning when she wakes up and thinks about being stuck in our unhappy marriage. She was testing me to see if I would call to offer emotional and financial help during our separation, and now she's holding that against me. She realized that she doesn't want to be with me anymore after struggling for months thinking that I didn't care about her. I told her that I will do anything to make it work, and that I will make the effort to be the husband that she deserves. But she's not interested, and she feels it's too little too late. We may have reached the point of no return. She said that she will never say never, and that signing the divorce papers may change her mind, but for now she wants to move on with moving on. I told her that I will sign the papers if that's what she truly wants. I asked that she go to IC before we get to that point though, because she won't talk to anyone else about this. I know that eventually I will have to file for divorce if no progress has been made between us. We've been separated for over 8 months now. At some point I have to let go completely. Months ago, I thought that I hadn't tried hard enough to save our marriage, but now I don't think there's much more that I can do. She hasn't changed. If she found out I was dating, it would most likely add to her anger and push for divorce. I know that she checked our bank account in the past during our separation, and she was angered to see that I went out to a bar that we used to go to. She thought that I was meeting women there, and she even joked about that last week. She has always been very jealous. I have a feeling she would think that's what I wanted to do all along, and it would justify our divorce even more in her eyes. Update: after 5 months without mention of divorce and friendly communication on a weekly basis, she filed. I was served yesterday. I spent today looking for attorneys and have a meeting tomorrow. She still doesn't want anything from me, so it should go as smoothly as a divorce can, I suppose. It hurts, but I do feel I tried to do as much as I could to save our marriage over the past 10 months, so I don't feel regret about that. She just wants out. I spoke to an attorney yesterday, and I really don't need to do anything before the divorce is finalized in June. No court, no alimony, no cost, nothing, because she didn't list anything in the paperwork. I don't even have to respond to the summons, and then after defaulting on the summons she will need to send in the final documents for the divorce judgment. My wife and I talked on the phone today to discuss the divorce. We were going to meet for coffee, but she texted me saying that she can't do this. There's no change with her. She sounds indifferent and will not go to individual or marital counseling as expected. She said that the glass is broken and can't be fixed. She also said that she doesn't belong in my family, and she's happy now instead of feeling like a piece of crap like when she was with me. I told her that this isn't what I want, but I won't block the divorce proceedings. This will be our last conversation for a long time. Time to move on for good. Well, it has almost been a month without any contact from my STBX. Only 3 to go until the divorce is final. I sent her a text a couple days ago about health insurance info that I need from her. No response. I still think about her reasons for showing up here, but really what's the point? If she wanted to open the door to R, she would have made it loud and clear. Instead, she wants me to chase her like a good doggy only to kick me down once again. She claims that she's happy now, although I read on the divorce papers that she has been working at a strip club since last year. How genuinely happy are women that work in strip clubs typically? In other news, I just broke it off with the girl I had been dating since October. The constant testing, games, drama, and pressure from her for a serious relationship finally tipped the scale out of her favor. It was much worse than with my STBX. A wave of relief washed over me as she drove away a few minutes ago. She was fired from her hostess job at a restaurant, and this was what she stumbled upon next back last summer. She's a waitress at the place, which her sister confirmed, but yeah, it's still a strip club. Last night my STBX started calling and texting me to get together while I was on a date. I responded after the date was over, and we met at a bar to celebrate my birthday with a drink. Most of the time she spent justifying her new career choice at a strip club, although I didn't mention it, and we played catch-up. She asked if I was dating anyone and talked about checking up on me again. I didn't see it going anywhere, so I told her there was no point in checking up on me anymore unless it's about marriage counseling. She said that she was afraid of counseling and being called a bad wife. I told her that MC isn't about blaming, it's about working through what needs to be worked through, and marriage is work. I think it just fell on deaf ears. She was teary-eyed while discussing the marriage and again said that she respected and cared about me. I told her if that was true, she would have communicated how she felt before leaving me, included me in her therapy before she left, and agreed to MC for the past year to fix our problems. She didn't have much more to say except that it wasn't her dream marriage with a loving mother-in-law to share her children with. I told her that's not an excuse to end our marriage. Our night ended soon after as we said goodbye outside the bar. I don't think this meeting changes much between us, but I do think it at least set a new boundary. Moving on. 4 years later, my ex-W was still sending me text messages in 2016 and trying to flirt with me 2 years after our divorce. I didn't take the bait and haven't seen or heard from her since. Through a mutual friend's photos, I noticed that she remarried last year in a ridiculously expensive wedding ceremony. 6 months later, her husband's business was shut down, and he is currently under federal investigation for fraud according to news reports. I can only imagine the drama in that household. I am now engaged to a beautiful woman and in a much better place in my life. My feelings and thoughts of my ex-W faded with time. My future is bright and I am happy that part of my life is in the past. My comment: why leave that door open? Nothing good will ever come out of it. Focus on your new woman, and your relationship won't be broken.